Hey everybody, and welcome to Using Activity Reports in Articulate Reach 360. Let me just take 30 seconds real quick, tell you what we're covering in this class, and then we'll just jump right in. So first off, what are the activity reports and who are they even for? Well, if you're an admin, a reporter, a manager, then you'll have access to the Analyze tab in Reach 360. Now this is where you'll find all the different types of reports that let you drill down into the nitty-gritty details about your learners and all of your training content. So for example, let's say you want to know how your company's doing in their annual compliance training. Well, you can just hop into the activity reports, get the scoop on your company's performance. You can even compare results between departments or groups or even individual learners. You'll see completion rates, quiz scores, how long folks are taking to complete the course, and really tons more. So we've got all that good stuff covered and then some. Let me show you how all this works in Reach 360. All right, so first things first, let's just click the Analyze tab to make sure that we are looking at the same things. Now the Analyze tab is really your main hub for viewing and exporting your reports and activity data for your account. So now that we're up here, we'll take a look at this dashboard right here. And this is really a bird's eye view of your training program. So you have these all-time metrics right here for the total number of courses, your number of registered users, courses completed, 60 courses already completed, and a total of 16 hours spent learning. So you can think of the dashboard really as like an elevator speech for when your L&D director or your CLO asks you for an update on the organization's training. This is a good metric, good scorecard to have a current metric for where your training program is. Obviously, we can get a lot more detailed, which is what we're doing in these sessions, but really this is a great metric to really have memorized each week or each month for where you are with your training. Okay, so below the dashboard, you're going to see the various types of reporting. We're going to go through each of these in its own movie. You have everything you need right here at your fingertips. So we're going to drill down into the activity reports in this movie. But before I do that, I need to select this drop down right here for the last 7 days. So I don't have any activity for the last 7 days for my team. So I can go back 30 days, 60 days, 90, and all time. We'll start with 30 and see what we have. Okay, that's good. That's going to give us quite a bit here. Everyone was active 2 weeks ago, or 7 days ago, but not this past week. All right, so it might seem like there's a lot of info here, but don't feel overwhelmed. We're going to unpack all this together. Each column right here, you can see represents a different entry. We've got the learner, the course or the training they took, the last one they took, the date they completed or the date they took it, how long they spent in the course, the duration, the number of lessons they completed while they were in that particular session, a quiz score if there was one. You can see not all of them are going to have quizzes, or maybe they didn't get to the final quiz, and then the status for each of these. So you can sort each of these columns just by clicking them. So we can click the status once and click it again to sort by completed. And okay, so it's either completed. There are no in progress sessions right here. But we can do things like sort by the quiz score, so we can see the quizzes. And there's a completed quiz here for handbook, so it must just have been either removed. There's a reason for that. So this is a quick way to spot trends like quiz scores, course completions, and more. Okay, so if you want to dig deeper, you totally can. So let's do this. I'll come back over here to the learners, and let's say date. We'll sort by the last date of completion for something here. All right, so what we can do is, so Scott's the last person who took a course at 6:30, and he spent 18 minutes in the course, completed 7 lessons, and got a 40%. So let's just see what we can learn from either a user or the course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Scott's name, and now I can drill down into what Scott's been doing. So I can see really quickly with the dashboard up top that he has 5 completed courses, 3 are in progress, 6 haven't been started, and he spent just under an hour of learning over 14 courses. So I can come down and see what he has here for the completed courses. And of course, these columns are all going to be sortable as well. So if I wanted to sort by status, I can see all of his completed. I can see sort maybe by his quiz scores up and down, and also see where he is in his progress, right? So completed courses and then the not started courses. Now, also notice we have an overdue course here for him for the developing a professional relationship. This is a couple weeks overdue, so we'd want to either jump in there and send a reminder or have those automated for in our settings. And we come back over here to activity, which is right next to the status tab. We can also see what his activity has been, how he's logging in, what he's doing with his time, how long is he spending in each lesson, and so forth. So let's do this. I'm going to back out of here. So I'm just going to go back and let's look at the course that we saw for him. So we're really just digging into these activity reports. And what I like about these reports is once you have a couple months of learning data with your learners, you can start to see some potential trends. So for this particular course, Understanding Healthcare Benefits, 6 people have completed it, 9 users are in progress, and then, well, that's everyone. So there's no one who hasn't started the course. 3 hours spent learning, and then an average quiz score of 72%. So we require, a lot of times, 80% to pass, so the average score is below where we want all of our learners. We can click the average quiz score right next to it, and we can click the report and then see how folks are doing. So give this a second to load. And this is really, really helpful. So we can see the average quiz score. It's below the passing score of 80%. 6 users have passed it, 4 have failed it. And then look at this. We can drill down in here and then see where folks are answering correctly from just a total learner's perspective in the course, as well as the wrong answers they're selecting. So for example, this first question, how can employees pay for qualified expenses? 90% of the learners responded correctly. One person responded incorrectly on this first choice. And so what I would use this for potentially is to identify content problems, issues with my content. If everyone is missing this first question, well, this one seems like it's pretty straightforward with only one person missing. But then we start coming down here, and then you've got the second question here with 30% are missing this question. That might tell you something about that particular quiz question, right? So you can start to identify potential gaps or areas where your content may not be as strong, or maybe it's the choices are too close together. It's not worded correctly. Anything. Same thing with this last question, 5. We can see 3 people missed this question by thinking this was the correct choice. So potential patterns and trends can be identified by drilling down into these. If I come back over here, I could also start to look at maybe the quiz scores. So we're still under the healthcare benefits course. I'll click the quiz score, and then this immediately stands out right here. Clearly 1, 2, 3, 4 folks have got 100%. Yay, I did pretty well. And 1 person with an 80. So really 6 people are passing. But then look at this, right? 4 folks have all gotten 40%. So I might want to look at what they've done. It shows in progress because they can't get completion until they complete the quiz successfully. So you can see they have 100% progress, but until they retake that quiz, they're not going to be able to get in there. But this, from an admin perspective, might tell me something about what's going on with these courses. It may not be the learners, right? It might be something to do with that quiz. So a lot of different things that you can glean from these reports. For all of the reports, you'll see an export option where you can export this data and then take that data with you. So we can export the activity reports for the course, or I go back over here and I could export all of the activity reports for the past 30 days, 60 days, and so on. And when I click export, that's the data that will be exported in a CSV format. Then you can take that, analyze that further, parse and sort it, and also share it with your team members. And there you have it. That's how you can use the activity reports to keep tabs on your learner progress, engagement, course completion, and all that nitty-gritty details that give you the full picture of your training program. All right, in this movie we'll look at another report that tracks learner activity, but this time from a financial and billing perspective. Now, which report, you ask? That's going to be the active learner report. Now, only admins can see this one, but it's super important because it shows you how many folks are actually using your courses each month. And that's a big deal since your pricing is based on your number of active learners. All right, come on, let me show you how this one works. Okay, so using this report is super easy. You can just select the active learner usage tab, and from here you'll see your billing term. So mine is April 5th, 2024 to April 5th, 25. And you can see each period, month by month, to see how many active learners have actually logged in and taken or viewed at least a course. So for this first month, April 5th to May 4th, we didn't have any active learners on our account, but then the following month we had 14, next month we had 15, and then in this current month, so far, we haven't had any. Now, this is also helpful because you can see your total number of term active learners. You'll see that down here. It'll be the last number on the right as you go down, but then it also is showing up here for your term account. So term active learners use. So you can see the 29 out of 2,300. But you can also drill down into specific groups to really see which groups are taking advantage of the training, which ones are most active. So if you wanted to see what the compliance team was doing, you can select that and just choose apply. We can see that they're at least in here each month. We could go in and choose a different group. Let's see, maybe new hire. And so our new hires are certainly active here for the size of the team we have, and so on. So that's how you can choose specific groups within your organization. You can also add, obviously, multiple by checking multiple boxes and keeping really just a tab on all of your learners and see where your usage is for the current month. And that's all there really is to this report. If you're an admin responsible for billing, this is your go-to dashboard for keeping an eye on your overall usage. All right, in this video, we're going to use the learner report to check out all of the users who have registered with our account, and then we're going to drill down into the individual learners to see how each one's doing with their courses. Now, this is super handy when you want to know if a specific user has finished their assigned training or how they're performing in a course or even a learning path. You can even see how long they've spent on each learning module. Now, this is helpful. For example, if let's say a learner fails multiple assessments, well, it might be helpful to know how much time they spent with the material. And this is also useful when you want to know if who's finished their training and how well overall they're doing in the courses. Anyway, that's just one use case. There's a lot more you can do with this, so let me show you how this one works. All right, so we're starting here under the Manage tab. I'm going to come and click Analyze, and the Learner's Reports is this third tab in right here. And this gives us a complete list of all the users who have ever registered for our account, including users who have been removed or deleted. You can see right here, this user has been deleted, so no longer have access, but we still have access to their data. So just like the other reports, you can sort, right? Ascending or descending list for the users. You can see how many courses each user's in. So in this case, if I sort, we can see Jacob has the most, well, Jacob and Jason have the most courses. Now, real quick, this is 18 courses that they're enrolled in. It doesn't necessarily mean that there are 18 courses that they've chosen to enroll, right? It could also be assigned courses that have been mandatorily assigned to individual users or groups. Just shows that they're currently enrolled in 18 courses. And we could also sort by activity. So in this case, it looks like Ginger hasn't been in for a while, but someone has just logged in the last, I guess, today, a few people today. Okay, so what we can do is start drilling down into individual learners and see really what they're doing, how they're performing. So let's do that real quick. So we'll click Scott, and now we're in the dashboard for Scott Bishop's profile. Up top, we have the little dashboard here. It gives us a big picture look at what he's up to. He has 14 courses he's enrolled in. You can see that there are 5 completed courses, 3 in progress, and then 6 that haven't been started. And then we also see how much time he's spent learning. So once we're in to the specific learner report, we can start to sort by the course. We can see just alphabetically all the courses that have been he's enrolled in or whether he's started. We can also look at the status of the courses. So this might be something if you have a group or an individual learner, in this case a learner, and you want to see how they're doing over the course of a year. Maybe there's a promotion or a different job opportunity that's coming up within a department, and you want to see, well, how are they doing in their training? How are they performing? What extra learning courses are they taking? You can see that real quick. You can see quite a few courses right down here that haven't even been started. I do notice that one course over here is overdue. So this one is an overdue course by a couple weeks. And then we can sort by things like quizzes. So I like sorting by quiz scores. Gives you an idea of how they're doing across the board. And then, of course, maybe you might want to look at the quiz score and then combine that with the duration of the course. How long have they spent in the course? Sometimes, learners tend to go quickly through the course, and if they're scoring low on the quizzes, that could be an indication that they just need to spend more time with the material. And of course, you can check by progress. And just like with the other reports, we can also export this learner report. So if you wanted an offline version, you could do that. Maybe share it with other managers or admins and drill down further into the data. We also can come over here and sort by activity to get an idea of when the learner is completing or interacting with their training. So you could also see maybe they're all cramming all the courses in the last couple of weeks that they're due. That's probably typical, but you could also just get a big picture look at really how often or active they are when it comes to taking their training. And if at any point you wanted to kind of zero in on one or more courses, you could just do that by selecting them here from the drop-down. And that's basically all there is to using the learner report to get a clear picture of a learner's progress, performance, and how engaged they are with their training in Reach 360. All right, let's say you want to check out how your sales team is doing in their training courses, or maybe you're just curious how your new hires are doing. Are they lagging behind? Do they have overdue courses? Well, for those kinds of reports, you're going to use the group reports. Let me show you how these work. So let's head over to the group reports. So we'll hit the Analyze tab, and then we'll come down and hit the Groups tab right here. So this is a list of all of the current groups that we have. You could see that you have the group name off to the left, and that's also sortable, right? Ascending or descending. And then we can also see how many members are in each group. So we could also look for which groups have the most number of learners and which one has the least. So new users, we don't have any users in this group right now. We could also search a group here for just using the search field to type in human resources. Okay, so with that, we want to drill down into a specific group. So let's choose, let's say human resources has the most number of members. So I'll bring that up. And so there's three main parts to the group report. We have the learners, and then we have the activity, so all the activity in that group, and then we have the courses that are assigned to the members of that group. So just above this, we see our dashboard that we're used to seeing. We can see how many courses have been completed, the number of courses in progress, and then how many courses haven't been started, along with the total number of hours spent learning. So I'm going to pop back over here to the Learners tab, and we'll kind of look through what we can do with this. So we have the learner, which is also sortable, ascending and descending, so we could quickly sort the learners. I don't have a lot of learners, so that's not so important here because I only have 5 in the group. And then you also have the number of courses each learner is taking and the date of the last activity. So we also could sort by, and this is probably going to be more important when you have a lot of learners, where you could sort through specific learners either from the drop down just by checking the boxes, or you could search for a learner using the field, and you can narrow your results that way. So I don't have too many here for this account, so I can keep everything open. And then here's what's really also helpful is we can expand the row for each of these users by just clicking in the rows. We don't want to click on the name necessarily. We click in the row, and we can see the activity for the last 10 items that they've completed or worked on. So you can see the course and the status, the duration. Now these columns aren't sortable like the others. To drill down and get additional details, we'd want to click either View More right below them, or we just click on the specific learner name, and then we can go and view their entire report. But a really handy way to quickly get an idea of where each of these learners is within a specific group. Now the Activity tab up top is going to show the date of the last activity. We have 2 filter options with drop downs where you can sort by courses or narrow the results down to 1 or more courses by just selecting the box. And then you could also select and narrow the filter by learners as well. And so let's go into the Courses tab, and we can see the course activity here. So these are sortable. We can sort by the course. We can sort by the percent completed for each of these. So these are 0 complete, and then we can reverse sort that by the top scores or percentage completed for each of the courses, average duration, and an average quiz score. I like the average quiz score because it's a good way to quickly see how, at a big picture glance, how the learners are doing. If I wanted to look at this specifically, I can click within the row and then get some activity on the learners. Again, I'm not clicking the course, the actual link to go to that course report, where we can get a lot more detailed information. But within this group, I can quickly see the recent activity, everything from the completion status as well as the due date and the quiz scores within each of these courses within the group. So it's a really fast way to check out what's going on. Now, these don't have much completion here. It looks like, okay, they have completion, but no quizzes, probably a micro learning. But that's how you can drill down and see each of those specific reports. As always, though, if you needed more info and you're in one of these, you would just click the course name, and then you're now within the course report, and you have the different dashboard and the specific options right there. If we're just looking at the group reports, we can see the learners, the activity, and the courses all within that specific group. And then finally, like all of these reports, you can export them to a CSV file and bring that file offline or share it with other admins or managers and review the data in greater detail. All right, so that's how group reports work in Reach 360. Now, real quick, for those of you who are new to Reach 360, if you're not using groups to manage your learners, you might be making things harder on yourself than you need to. Grouping is the way to go when you want to understand overall progress, performance, and engagement of a group of learners. So make sure you check that out. All right, so the Courses tab is your go-to tab for understanding how your courses are performing. Now with the course reports, you can see which courses are killing it, spot the ones that need a little TLC, track how many learners are taking each course, and quickly analyze quiz results across the entire company. You can easily identify trends, completion rates, engagement levels, quiz performance, overall effectiveness, and really so much more. Come on, let me show you how these work. All right, so from the Analyze menu tab, we're just going to come down and choose the Courses tab here. And this gives us a list of all of our published courses and the enrollments. So over here on the left, we can see the course name, and this is a sortable list as well. We could also sort by enrollments. Now, if you have a lot of courses, I don't have too many, but if you had a lot, you could also just use the search field to quickly find the course you're looking for. All right. So let's go ahead and just view an individual report for one of these courses. So we'll just take this first one here. Now we see the dashboard up top right here. We see the title of the course, the number of lessons in this particular course, and we get a quick big picture view of everything that's happening here in the course. We can see we have 6 learners have completed the course, 9 learners are currently in progress, and then we have 1 learner who has not started the course. Off to the right, we have the total number of hours spent learning, and then we have the average quiz score for the course. Now, we can even drill down into question level reporting by clicking the report link right here, and just give this a moment to load. And with the question level reports, you can really drill down and see how your learners answered individual questions on quizzes that were tracked for completion. So, for example, in this first question, looks like we have 90% of our learners answered this correctly. So that was 9 learners. And then we had 1 learner answer the second choice as the incorrect choice. So what this is good for, what you can use this for potentially, is to identify perhaps issues with either performance in your learners or maybe identify gaps in your content. So for example, just going down here quickly, I guess the last one's an example. We have 30% of our learners. Now, I don't have a big sampling pool, right? There's only 3 learners here, but 30% of our learners have missed this question, but also missed it by guessing or answering this second choice. So that might be something to look at from a content perspective, to go back in and really look at maybe the questions or the choices are a little too similar, or maybe they're a little ambiguous. But you could use the question level reports to identify those types of trends or gaps. All right, so I'm going to come back up here and let's just go back. Okay, so down below we have the status tab, and this is where you'll find all learners who are currently or previously enrolled in the training. So the column is sortable, so we can sort alphabetically or descending order right here. We can check their status by clicking the status tab, see who's completed the course, who's in progress, as well as who hasn't started the course. Then we can also sort by duration, quiz score. Again, I like sorting by quiz score when you have the requirement of a quiz, because perhaps this could give you some insight also into either your content gaps or maybe learner performance, right? So four of our learners are missing or failing the quiz, but they're also getting the same score. We can also check progress, last activity, and of course, if that course had a due date. Okay, so here is a pro tip, and that is we can click on a row to expand the learner's activity. So for example, James, I'm not going to click his name. You see I have a little hyperlink underneath his name. I'm just going to click anywhere in the row, and I can quickly see his recent activity. So this includes everything from the activity, his recent activity, the duration, how long you spent in the course, number of lessons viewed, and a quiz score if there was one. And then if you needed to see more detailed information about the particular learner, you would just click their name and you could go into their learner report. So up top, you see some options for sorting. So by default, it's set to all time, but if you wanted to just go back 30 days or 60 days, you could go back and see. Sorry about that. I clicked a little too quickly. Let's come in here. Right, time, 7:30, 60, all time. And then you can also sort here by groups. As if you want to just see how maybe the compliance group is doing, click apply. And then you can see that both of those users have completed the course within that group. Come back in here and just deselect the group. So you have a lot of options for filtering and really narrowing down what it is you want to focus on. Whoops, did I select one? And click out of there. And then, of course, you have your learners, and if you wanted to, also filter learners as well. And just like with all reports, you can come over and export this report to a CSV file, and then you can use that as a way to really analyze that data offline or maybe share it with some additional managers or admins. Now, for the activity tabs, we'll come to the second tab up here. We have the activity tab. Here we can see all of the activity in this particular training. So it's sorted by default by date, so we can see the last time someone logged in and worked on that course. You can see on 6:30, this user Scott spent 18 minutes in the course, completed 7 lessons, and then has a quiz score. So I really like how we use the color coding for quizzes. So you can see red for failed attempts, green for complete or passing scores, and of course you can always sort by the quiz score just to come through and quickly identify which scores are below, which scores are passing or above, and then you also have your status as well. And then here's again, and this report is also exportable. All right, that's how you can use the course reports to identify your most and least popular courses, track completion rates, measure learner engagement, analyze quiz results, and find out which content is hitting the mark. All right, so the Learning Path Reports is your go-to for understanding how learning paths are performing. So these are similar to the course reports, except for they're going to measure the learning paths, where learning paths are just groups of courses rather than individual courses. So you can track how many learners are taking each learning path, their completion rates, how long they're spending in each learning path, and of course, analyze quiz results across the entire board. Okay, come on, let me show you how these work. All right, so let's go ahead and open our learning paths. So we're doing that from the Analyze tab up top, and then we just come all the way to the end. Our final report is the learning paths. So you can see here all of our active learning paths. This first one, HR, Human Resources, was one that we just created. So we don't yet have any enrollments, so we don't have any learners or groups, but you can see the enrollments for the other 3 learning paths. So let's do this. Let's just dive into one of these and take a look and see what's going on. Since new hire has the most enrollments, maybe we'll have the most activity in there. Okay, so we're here on the individual learning paths report. So you can see we have an updated dashboard right here with the enrollees widget. So just at a glance, we can see what's going on. We have seven learners in progress. We have 0 completions, and then we have 0 folks who have not started. So at least everyone has at least started the course or the learning path, and then we have the total of 5 hours spent active learning. So we have our learners and our status, everything down below. We can see the progress status. If we need to sort any of these are all sortable as well. We have a lot of overdue courses right here. So this is, or at least a lot of overdue courses within the path. So we'd want to probably drill down and look at some of that to see what's going on with our learners. So for example, let's take a look at Laura. So I'm not going to click her name. I'm just going to click in the row so we can expand and get a quick look at what she's up to. So we can see a couple things here. You can see one course has been removed. So it still shows in the data. She spent 30 minutes in there. So maybe we removed that course because maybe something needed to be updated, or we decided it didn't fit with the goals of the learning path. But it's still listed for us. We can see we have a few started. She has 1 in progress, and it doesn't look like she has any completions. So this is a really quick way to get a view into each learner and what they're doing within that specific learning path. So Jacob right here, you can see he's completed several courses within the learning path. And then you can see his quiz scores over here. Because we're expanding, we're doing this filtering within the row, these are not sortable. But if we drill down into the actual courses in the learning path, then we could sort this the way we do the other types of reports. But the expanding the rows is a really fast way to get in here and look at the status for each learner. With the activity tab, we can again just see when the folks were last active and which courses they were taken. So by default, it sorts by date. So the last time someone was in here was 6:30, and it was Scott who was taking Understanding Your Health Benefits. Got a 40% on that one. And we could also sort here by quiz results and just get an idea how folks are doing here within the course. So we can see that sorting by quiz. We could come in and maybe sort by the course. And then we can see, as we go across employee handbook, how many lessons were completed and the activity within each of these. Now the courses tab is going to let you drill down into the course report. So when we're on this screen right here, we're seeing all of the courses that are part of this new hire onboarding learning path. You can see we have 2 courses removed, and if we click any one of these rows, then we're actually going back into the course reports. But we're here in the context of the learning path, so that's what we're viewing this as. But essentially this is the course reports if we had gone from Analyze tab to the course reports. All right, I'm going to back out of here, and so we're back into the learning path. So we see new hire onboarding, 7 courses, and again we can see each of the courses to drill down and get some more info. And again, we also can export these reports, so that really helps if you want to do some analysis offline or maybe share the report with other folks on your team or your senior management, and that gives you all the details that you can have offline. Okay, folks, there you have it. That's how you can use the learning path reports to really see how your learners are doing in their training. The report gives you all the details on their learning progress, the engagement, and their overall performance. Well, folks, I hope you picked up some new tips and ideas and some ways for getting the most out of Reach 360's training analytics to measure everything from learner activity to their progress to the overall effectiveness of your training content. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.